And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, once again, we are back at you. The Weighing In Podcast. Josh the Punk Thompson. Podcast Dave on the controls. And I am sitting here in my little studio ready to talk about all of the happenings that had occurred during the last week. We got other things coming up, some more fights on different fight cards, but we got a lot to talk about with the passing of time and now all the comments of what has occurred from UFC 264. Josh Thompson, how are you doing back from Calabasas? How was your trip?
It was amazing. Had a great time. Brendan even talked about it a little bit today on his Below the Belt segment and his Fighter and Kid. Great stuff. I'm going to have Podcast Dig still a clip from that, and we'll get that up as well. But I thought we had some good feedback. I was actually, you know me, I'm a homer when it comes to reading the comments because I'm an idiot. So that's really what it comes down to.
Let's just go with that.
Yeah. And then it was funny. I was telling Brendan and Bradley, and I was telling them, I was saying, hey, like, I read the comments. They're like,
what?
Bradley was like, yeah, I read them all the time too. And Brendan's like, why? Like, why the fuck would you read the comments? I'm like, but I think to myself, I'm like, why do so many people, in not just Brendan's comment section, but mine as well, ours as well, is like, I can't believe people take their time out of their day to write a freaking paragraph about how much people suck, but yet they still watch every week. It's the same people.
Exactly it.
They just the same people. I'm like baffled by it all.
I'm smart. I just have my wife gives me cliff notes because she'll sit there and she reads stuff and then she'll give me the cliff notes on certain ones, and I just laugh.
Yeah. All right, guys. But before we jump into this Conor fallout and backlash and all the other things that come along with it, let's go ahead and click the link in the descriptions for the Clips channel and subs. We're trying to get our Clips channel back up, or not back up, but trying to get the subscriptions up on it. We just started it probably about 2 weeks ago, so we're trying to get those follows up as well. So hit that, smash the like button right now to keep the shows coming. Also hit that little like button, that little thumbs up, and then click the bell to stay notified on when we drop our shows. We do drop our shows at different times based on the graphics and the deck and stuff that we put together weekly to make sure that we're optimizing the right times in which people are tuning into us. So make sure you guys
giving the
hit
best
that
product
little bell.
that we can. Come on.
We try, man. We're trying our hardest. I got to tell you, man, it's been fun. We're doing a great job, and I'm enjoying what we're doing, John. I've been having a blast doing this. It's so funny. I see it all the time. Someone says, John, dump Josh, man. Get somebody else or do it solo. But for the first time, I saw someone tell me today in the comment section, on Twitter, get rid of John and do it solo or get somebody else.
There you go.
I said, finally, someone really likes what I do.
That was my mother.
Finally, that was your mom. I was like, finally, somebody appreciates me. No, but then I commented back. I'm like, I just said, come on, man. John's my ride or die dog. Like, him and Podcast Dave, Fruity Pebbles over there. This guy. I love it. My little Scottish boy. Like, what are those little Scotties, right? What are they called? The little Scotties, those type of dogs.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man. Anyways. Well, let's jump into a little bit of the backlash and the fallout from the Conor situation and the middle finger,
there's a picture of that. There's also
Dustin's
tape
wife.
On what Conor was saying and all this stuff. None of it pretty. Not one bit of it pretty.
I just think it falls into. Okay, go ahead, Dave. Can you talk us through it all?
So I've got three. You mentioned a couple more right now, but the main pieces I have, we'll start with this one. So there's video that came out on Twitter today, and it kind of shows the moment at which it looks like Conor's ankle broke, and Joe Rogan has actually reposted it and said that he definitely believes this is a part, and it's this video right here that you guys will see right now. It's on Twitter as well.
Kind of hits the elbow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hits the elbow, and then you can see him foot comes down, and then he steps back, and as he goes to lunge in for.
That's why I said when I saw it, you could see his foot when he went and he took a step and put pressure on it. You saw it kind of give that twitch, just a little bit. It acted funny, and he kind of slid it sideways, and then as soon as he stepped back, it folded. So there was obviously, the damage occurred in that sequence somewhere, but just it's bad luck. But it's part of fighting. It's just part of the sport, and injuries are gonna occur, and you never want to see someone have an injury that's gonna put them out of the fight, but it is part of the sport. It is what happens, and there's, I love the fact I see everyone saying that's not a loss, that's not a TKO, that should be a no contest. It's like, sorry people, no, this has been going on for decades. That this is you, and even if it's an injury caused by your opponent with a legal blow, then you're going to have a TKO. And even if it's an injury caused by yourself, you take a funny step or something happens, you're the one that kicks, and your leg break, it's a TKO. It's a loss, and it should be, and it doesn't mean, Josh, what is it about people where they get so up and riled about fights, thinking that the loss of a fight is the end of a life? It's not. If you lose a fight, and that's the worst thing that happens to you in your life, and I say it to fighters all the time, you've got a great freaking life, okay? It's not that big a deal. It's, yes, you go, you give your best, and if things don't turn out and you lose, or you lose in this situation, write it off, come back, do it again, heal yourself up, whatever, but it's not the end of the world, man.
No. I mean, Conor made, let's just say, I'm gonna lowball it, say he made 10 million.
Oh, you lowballed it.
Yeah, I did. I heard he made 20.
Yes.
I heard he made 20. But regardless, no matter what happens moving on forward, like, he's going to look back on this and not going to give, I mean, like, sure, it's going to eat him up that he lost, to Dustin Poirier twice. It was a weird situation. I'm in no way making any excuses for him. I know that I got a lot of backlash on the fact that I'm like, well, it's because there's a lack of training. You got to make sure you densify your bones and you're working, kicking the pads, hitting the bag, all those things. He hasn't been that active, and everyone kept throwing out a bunch of other stuff that can't be verified, on why his bones are brittle and all this other stuff. But the bottom line is,
his bones are brittle. His bones hit a hard bone, an elbow.
Yeah.
And you put enough steam on it, it can crack the bone.
So in no way, like, here's the other thing as well, is in no way am I defending his actions and how he handled this fight. And I know he's done stuff in the past. I'm in no way defending any of that. I would say, I'm not a Conor fan. I'm a fan of, like, what he's done for the sport. I'm not so much like a Conor fan. Like, Brendan Schaub
You're not a fan of the fighter. You're a fan of what the fighter has achieved.
Yes. And here's the thing, is actually, I'm not a fan of him as a person. I'm actually a fan of the fighter. I'm actually more of a fan of the fighter, the guy who competes. I'm okay with that. Because that's to be respected for all fighters. I don't give a shit if you're making 20 million or if you're making, 20. Low end, 10 grand or 5 grand or whatever it is down there. Yeah, you're not making shit. I mean, I have that respect for that person there in terms of being a fighter and getting in there. It takes a lot. All the people on the bar stools at home talking shit. It drives me crazy, but it's like, you just kind of let it shine it on, whatever. I think this is exactly where he broke his leg. Maybe he had some damage before, and I heard that John Kavanagh came out and said that he had tweaked his ankle, whatever, before, but it was 2 broken bones. Yeah. So regardless of all that, I mean,
and it wasn't his ankle that broke.
Yeah, it was right above. Yeah, he broke the fibula and the tibia, so which is nasty. And you could tell after he kicked the elbow, he switched stance because it hurt him. He didn't want to have that leg up front. And then on top of that, when he stepped in, you could see the leg was already flopping around.
It was kind of
a little bit of a limp noodle.
His foot kind of went a little sideways because of the pain of it. You could see it. It's like, it's right there. And he's trying to cover it, and he's doing exactly what a fighter does. He's trying to cover out that something's wrong. It doesn't feel right. And then when he takes the big step back and puts a lot of weight on it, it just goes. It can happen.
Yeah. I thought it was great, though, that Eric Nixick, he basically said his mom pointed this out. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
That's why Eric Nixick's such a good coach. He gets coached by his mom.
Yeah, that's so great. It runs in the family. I think it's great. Yeah. Oh, man. What else, Dave, in part of this backlash and fallout?
So the next piece was from Coach Kavanagh. He did an interview. I think it was on a Mac Life, and he said that basically he thinks Conor was on his way to getting a finish in the fight. And he basically said towards the end of that first round, Conor was looking on point.
Well, John was just telling me a second ago that the 2 judges had it a 10-8 round, which I didn't think it was a 10-8 round. And I'm not going to rip into the judges. I mean, they saw what they saw, but it wasn't a 10-8 round. I've never seen a round like that was ruled a 10-8 round. I mean, he didn't get dropped. Wasn't scoring that way, to be honest. So I didn't see that. Conor was landing some good elbows from the bottom as well, and Dustin landed some great elbows from the top. So I thought it was a 10-9 round regardless. But what did you think John Kavanagh was going to say? He was getting dominated and crushed. It wasn't the game plan.
This is not what we expected. We were going after something completely different. Of course he's going to say it. That's his guy.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. Here, it's real simple. Interview Mike Brown and see what he says.
Yeah.
Okay. I bet it doesn't match what John Kavanagh says, and that's okay. John Kavanagh's guy is Conor, and he's going to stick with his guy, and he's going to say, hey, we were doing exactly what we wanted, and we were getting ready for the second round. Okay, if the leg didn't go, he would have made it to the second round, and we would have seen, more fighting, and something, could have happened that was good for him, could have ended up being bad for him. We're never going to know. It didn't happen, but to sit there and to expect John Kavanagh to say anything different, that's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely insane. There's just no way. I'm like, if you have coaches that start saying stuff like that, odds are that relationship gets burst real quick.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't expect him to say anything else. So I think he just did what a great coach does and just, basically said, hey, you know what? It's kind of what we had thought. It's like, hey, maybe in the first round, Dust's going to come out, get the takedown, and try to get us and hold us on our back. I wanted to see Conor try to work more to his feet. He didn't really start trying to do that towards the end of the round. Like, he kept pulling guard. He kind of was okay with hanging out there. With the Khabib situation, he kept putting his back to the fence and trying to get up. I don't understand why he didn't try to go back to that, because he was a lot harder to hold down in that fight versus Khabib. And I can tell you, being a fan of Dustin and being training with Khabib before, Khabib's not easy to get back up, and so Conor was able to do it a couple times. So I don't understand what his focus was on just hanging out in the guard. Dustin's got good hip pressure, good pressure, but top pressure, but I don't know if
he was just hanging out in the guard. He was doing a great job of sticking his fingers and holding onto a glove and kicking up in Dustin's face.
Hey.
Dustin called it. He did do it. But Conor has done things in the past where he cheats.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying, man.
That's it. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying and stuff.
And the thing is,
the way it is. That's for Herb to catch.
When I say that, 50% of the fans in our comments are going to love it and 50% are going to hate me. So that's where we're at right now.
But it's just a fact of life when and I used to say it to fighters all the time. Look, I understand. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. It's my job to make sure that you can't cheat. That's just the way it is. And it's, I don't blame him. There's times when, as a referee, you're going to see those things, and there's times you're not going to see it. There's those times it happens, and you try to make things as fair as you can. But it was, I don't blame Conor for it, and I don't look at him like he's a bad guy for it. He's not a bad guy. He's just trying to win a fight.
What else you got for us, Dave?
Last thing I have from the fallout from this fight is just Ronda Rousey's comments. She came out and said, "I'm amazed that as soon as you hit the ground, you were already promoting the next fight, Notorious. I wouldn't have had the mind to do that. The other fighters, UFC and media, are lucky to have you." And then Conor just thanked her for her message.
So, John, you disagreed a little bit. I don't know, when we first started this, before we got on air, we were talking about it. What was your thought when you first heard that?
My thought was I read it differently than you read it, honestly. Yeah. I think it's the way that you take it, and to say, what Ronda is saying. I kind of agree after listening to you and what you were saying. How you were looking at it, saying she's looking at it like, man, it's amazing that a guy is doing exactly what we hear certain people. And you brought up Chael saying, man, well, when you're in that cage, your job is to promote. And that the fact that, his leg broke, he knew the fight was over, but from that moment, he was already saying, things about, this isn't over, we're going to have another one and stuff. And that's what she's talking about, and telling other fighters, look, these are your moments in time. You need to think about them, and you need to be doing what he's doing. I'll give it to you. I'll agree with that. My problem is some of the things that he did and the way he did it, I don't agree with. And it's not that I don't like the person. I like the person. I just don't like the method sometimes, or the line that he'll cross in getting those messages out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that portion of it. We talked about it on the last show. I said I thought it was very classless in the way he approached it, especially after talking about, Dustin's wife being in the DMs and all the other stuff that was apparently said. There was a video backstage of them, and then something about, like, you know, I heard there was like a gun sign like this or something like that saying he was going to kill her or whatever. It was like, there was a video going around and someone was trying to send it to me, but I didn't want to open it. You don't know what it is. Yeah. So, but regardless of all that situation, what we talked about with Ronda, when her tweet, I had to agree with her. And that's why I had to put it to you. I'm like, look, the mindset is at every moment you get the mic in front of you, that's your chance to promote yourself. Doing it on Twitter, sure, that's great for all the fans that you know are MMA fans. But the people that are in the arena or the people that just so happen to tune in that night because they're at a friend's house and the fights were on, or like, hey, everyone's coming over and they never really watched the fights before, now you have an opportunity to gain fans. And whether he won fans or people hated him even more, the next time he fights, or if he does fight Dustin again, they're either going to want to see him win and get it back, or they want to see him get knocked out and lose again. And so all he's done now is promoted that next fight. And that's something that Chael constantly talks about when we talk to him. He hates when fighters win a fight. Like, oh yeah, whoever Scott Coker puts in front of me, I'm willing to fight him, or whoever Dana White, asked me to fight. No, man, have an idea of who you want. And that was one thing I never did. I never said, like, except for when it was Gilbert, I was like, yeah, I know I'm next in line. I want that title shot. You know what I mean? I got that part of it all. But when you're coming up, start talking about the fighters you want to fight. Sugar Sean, let me get Cody Garbrandt, or let me get whoever else it was that he wanted to fight. Let me get that fight. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're not in the top 10 or you're just trying to break into the top 10, start calling out those top 10 or those top 15 fighters. You got to do something to make a splash. Be careful what you wish for. Sometimes you're going to get those top 15 and top 10s, and and they're going to put it on you. But in this situation, his leg is broken, both legs. I mean, both bones in his leg are broken, and he's laying there having an argument with Dustin and yapping at the wife. But at the end from the very beginning, Joe's sitting there. I'm thinking to myself, why are you doing the interview right now? But he didn't let the moment escape him. He said, this is not done. We are not done. This is not settled. We are going to fight again. That right there already sets the stage for the millions of people. Yeah, exactly.
That part's okay, but that's not all he said.
No, I got you what you're saying.
And this is where you look and you go, okay, and I've made the mistake. Bellator's made the mistake. The UFC has made the mistake. Sometimes you got to figure, do you want to interview that fighter? Do you want to stick a mic in front of the fighter's face when, let's be honest, right at this moment, all of the adrenaline, it's starting to run out and the pain's starting to come on.
Oh yeah.
And Conor's feeling it. And so are you expecting to get this great interview and stuff? And he's going to say great things. It's like, it's probably not, it's the same thing that happened when, Rumble Johnson wins the fight, but he got hurt in that fight and he got almost finished in that fight. He got hit with a big shot and he was concussed. And I come in and I say, I'm asking him questions about being hurt. And he's like, I didn't get hurt. And you go, uh-oh, I screwed up.
Yeah.
And it's like, these are the situations. Sometimes you got to look and say, it's better not to interview. There are those. Yeah, but times.
Rumble won the fight. That's the problem. You kind of have to interview the guy who won the fight.
I agree, but it's one of those that's tough. In this situation, it's like Joe sitting down there, and I don't blame Joe at all. Joe is told, by, his producer, interview Conor, and they have Conor set up to be interviewed and stuff, and so he's got to go over there and do it. But are you going to get, are you going to get good? Are you going to get bad? Are you going to get a combination? It's a tough one. It's a tough call.
I thought they got a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. I thought they got a little bit of good and a lot of bad.
Yeah,
that's really what it came down to.
That's about what I would say. I thought some of it was good, and there was a whole lot that came out in that was just nasty and not good for the brand.
Well, there's that picture.
Go ahead.
There's the picture of Dustin's wife flipping him off.
Yeah, no, no. She was not flipping him off. She was telling him he's number one.
Yeah. I look at that though as like as her cheating on Dustin. Then she's I'm kidding, guys. Yeah. Some of you guys are literally gonna say oh my god, I can't believe you said that. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, overall, like the beginning portion of this conversation started based off of the tweet by Ronda Rousey. I just want the young fighters to know, or all the fighters that are making their run right now, Never let that moment pass you by, because you will never have a bigger audience than you do when you're in the center of that cage after a fight. Whether you won or lost, it's take that chance to start building your next fight. Even if you've lost and they're ready to talk to you, and you just say, hey, guess what? I got to get back on track. Guess who I want my next victim to be? I want it to be this guy. Okay. Whoever it is, get your, and that just pumps it up.
But let's look at this and let's be realistic in what we're looking at. Who's Dustin's next fight? Is it Conor? No. It's obviously going to be Charles Oliveira. All right. We'll say that he beats Charles. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. For the benefit of this, we're going to say Dustin beats Charles. So we'll say that fight happens in 4 months. And then we'll say that, there's another 5 months and you've got Conor now back. You can't put Conor against him.
No.
You can't. It doesn't make sense. I don't care what, Dana's saying, this fight wasn't finished. That's not the way you want to finish a fight. Well, of course it's not the way you want to see a fight finish. You didn't want to see Anderson Silva break his leg on Chris Weidman's leg. You didn't want to see Chris Weidman break his leg on Uriah Hall. These things happen though. And right now, Conor's in a position, he's 1-3 in his last 4 fights. He's lost 2 times in a row to Dustin. You can't put him in a championship fight. It doesn't make any sense at all. And even as they do a great job of controlling media and what the media says. Even ESPN, look at they have Stephen A. Thompson. They're like bringing him into the UFC's broadcast.
Stephen A. Smith. Don't do that to me.
I'm sorry.
Don't do that to me.
First off, I apologize to Wonder Boy for what I just.
You just used my last name too. I'm gonna smash you for that.
You got Stephen A. Smith. He's not gonna let that go. He would be all over that.
Yeah.
And so that's the fight you can't even make right now. Now, if Dustin loses to Charles, maybe you got a different situation. Maybe you can make that fight again. But it really depends on what happens between Dustin and Charles. Mm-hmm. That's the real question on, can you make that fight happen again?
Yeah. I mean, it would only happen, I believe, if Dustin didn't win the title. I can't imagine coming off of, 3 losses now in a row, him coming in and getting a title shot. I mean,
it's not 3 losses in a row. It's 3.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting about the Cowboy fight.
Exactly.
I keep forgetting about the Cowboy fight. I'm getting murdered in the comments about that every single time too. Like I said,
he
hadn't fought in like 3 years.
Just because I said Stephen Thompson of ESPN.
Yeah, that's on you. You threw me off. You threw my mindset off.
It's my fault. I apologize.
What else you got for us, Dave?
All right, you ready to jump into Bellator?
Yeah, let's jump into the Bellator fight card this weekend. All
right, so we got Bellator 262 this Friday. Mm-hmm. Mohegan Sun.
Okay. I'm going to be honest, John. It's not a great card. But there's some sneaky good fights in it. There's a couple of good fights that are in there.
There's not a lot of what people would look at as big names that they recognize and stuff like that, but there are some really good fighters and some good matchups in here. So I expect it to be a fun night of fights with some good fights going on.
Yep. What fights stand out to you the most?
Well, I'm going to go straight up. I think that the matchup between the champion and Juliana Velasquez against Denise Kiel, it's an interesting matchup. Look, Denise Kielholtz is 47-3 in kickboxing. All right, she was phenomenal. She's been a multi-time world champion in all different organizations. What she's done since coming into MMA and basically now putting her kickboxing aside is she was trying to do both, and we both know. Yeah, that's usually not going to, end well because it just doesn't match up. You can't train in one and train in the other and think that you can do both and be good at both. It's not going to happen. She put her kickboxing to the side, said, I'm done with that. I'm going to be an MMA fighter. And in her last couple of fights, she's looked fantastic. She's called Miss Dynamite. She's got power for a small women's fighter. She has got power and she's got speed. She hits hard. She's, knocked out Kate Jackson. She hurt her other opponents. She gets submissions. She's got quite a few submission wins. She's fun to watch. Juliana Velasquez is undefeated in her career. She comes from a judo background. The real question is Is she going to use it because she really likes to fight the stand-up? Is she going to fight a stand-up game against someone like Denise, which probably isn't the greatest idea in the world? So it's an interesting matchup. I really think it's going to be a fun fight.
Yeah, Juliana Velasquez definitely got the advantage on the ground and in the clinch. And I don't even know if so much in the clinch because Denise Kilholz has got pretty good elbows and knees in that clinch as well. Denise is the shorter fighter, but she's also got a little bit more speed, I think, than Juliana Velasquez, and she can fight in the phone booth from all the years of kickboxing. She's a better inside fighter as well. So when you put all that stuff together, Juliana Velasquez is going to have to press her to the fence, keep her clinched there, take her down, make her work to get back up. That's the game plan, I would believe, for Juliana Velasquez, but it does make for an interesting fight because Denise Kilholz is strong as hell. Strong. She packs a huge punch for being so small. And like I said, she's fabulous on the feet. She's amazing on the feet. She's got big power. She's got tight elbows, tight boxing inside. She got good kicks, and she's no slouch as well in terms of the judos and the throws. She's strong. She's got good hip toss. She's got good takedown, like decent takedowns, and also good takedown defense. So I think when you put that fight together, it does make for an interesting fight. But if the fight hits the ground, though, I definitely give the advantage to Juliana Velasquez.
Yeah, one is a judo black belt in Denise. She's a black belt in judo. She started her martial arts career in judo. Hoist Gracie will tell you, hey, she's good on the ground. He trained with her. But Juliana is not only a judo black belt. She was a national team member in Brazil. She was on their national team. She is really good at her judo. But she doesn't really use her grappling skills in fights. So it's an interesting matchup. It's going to be, I think, a really fun fight. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be entertaining.
Well, the one that I'm looking forward, to be honest, is I'm looking forward to Johnny Evelyn. He's coming off that big knockout. What was it, like first minute or something like that when he fought last?
Yep.
It was, a month ago? He looked phenomenal. He's also still undefeated. He trains out of ATT with Austin Vanderford, Yaroslav Amosov, and Dalton Rasta. All of them are out of ATT, all with Bellator. All four of them are undefeated. All got stacked records. I mean, like we've talked about on the broadcast, these guys, whoever's the first one to lose, probably gonna get kicked out of the group, just because they don't want the bad mojo going on in their group. They're like, yeah, you lost, you're out, buddy. Okay, you're not carrying your weight. Get out of here. No, but he's tough. He's tough. I mean, what do they call him? The Korean Canelo, right?
Well, it was the Korean Canelo. Now it's Diamond Hands because he's been, instead of being the wrestler that he came up as, he is now big into the stand-up game and throwing big punches. But the guy he's fighting in Travis Davis, he's a good stand-up fighter. He's got fast hands. He's got power. So it'll be a good matchup for him.
Yeah, but Travis got to be able to stop that takedown. And Johnny Evelyn's a wrestler first at heart. I know he's fallen in love with his power, but his wrestling is really good.
Yeah, it is.
And that group of guys, like I said, that Yaroslav Amosov, Dalton Rasta, Austin Vanderford, they're so good. All of them, they complement each other in terms of they make them work harder for the wrestling positions. So when they get in there and fight someone who's not really a top level wrestler, it just makes it easy for them. They're just picking these guys apart. And you saw what Yaroslav Amosov did to Douglas Lima, and Johnny Evelyn, I think, is probably about the same, if not a little bit better wrestler. But it's a little bit different style of wrestling as well. Yeah. A lot more flexibility and scrambles out of Amosov versus Evelyn. But Evelyn's a great wrestler himself. So I'm looking forward to that fight.
Tyrell Fortune fighting Matt Mitrione. That's an interesting heavyweight matchup. Matt's getting older. There's no doubt about it, but he's still fast. He's still a great athlete, but Tyrell Fortune is a guy, great wrestling background, likes the stand-up. He's got his one loss to Tim Johnson, where he got knocked out, found out, hey, you got to take every fight serious. He's a great athlete, though, and he's well coached, and it's going to be interesting to see, how he approaches this fight with Matt because, again, Tyrell's a guy that we've seen as a wrestler. He likes the stand-up. He likes throwing hands. He likes the knockout now. But the path to victory against Matt Mitrione, that blueprint has been out there for a long time, and that is use your wrestling. Does he use his wrestling? We're going to see. We talk about fight IQ all the time. Good fight IQ, you work yourself inside, you take Matt Mitrione down and use your ground and pound. Bad fight IQ, you decide, I'm going to be a stand-up fighter against Matt Mitrione.
Do I think he can wrestle and get Matt to the ground? Yes. Can he hold Matt down? I don't know. Not on top of that, but on top of that, can he do it for 3 rounds if he has to? I don't think so. Tyrell Fortune's someone he's got all the abilities to become the heavyweight champ. The issue is, though, is I don't know if he pushes himself enough in training to wrestle hard for 15 minutes. And if he was to get to a title fight, like or in that situation where he's fighting 5 rounds, he needs to make sure his wrestling is on point, because that's what he's going to need to get to that upper group of fighters. Beating Matt Mitrione is not going to put you in that title talk. What I think this is a separation fight for Matt Mitrione. Are you either fighting Fedor Emelianenko next? Because there was a buzz about that. If you beat Tyrell Fortune, I can build you off of that and say, hey, you know what? Now you fight Fedor over in Russia. Yep. If Matt loses, I don't think they have him fight Fedor. I think they go with Jake Hager. But Tyrell Fortune has all the skill. He's got all the ability. I just don't know if he is someone that can wrestle and stand up for 15 minutes hard. I don't think he can wrestle for 15 minutes hard. So he's going to have to pick and choose the times that he decides to shoot in there. Matt's speed is going to always give these guys problems for heavyweights. I mean, he's a big guy who moves like a lightweight on his feet, sticks and moves, got good footwork. So Tyrell's going to have to cut the cage off, throw heavy shots to get in and get to the takedown or the clinch and make him work out of those positions. But we're going to see how it all pans out. But I mean, this is a fight for Matt to see if he's going to fight Fedor next. That's what I believe. Oh. And for a fight for Tyrell to say like, hey, shit, or get off the pot, man. If you can't beat guys like Matt Mitrione, we're going to have to dial you back a little bit, or we're going to have to just figure it out. I feel like this is one of those fights that they're really looking at him saying, hey, you lost to Tim Johnson. We get it. He just fought for the title. He looked good. You know, he came up short. The interim title, I should say. He came up short, but I thought he looked great. 25 minutes. He fought hard. I thought he looked good. But I think for him, it's a shit or get off the pot. He's going to have to figure it out. Yeah. So he needs to make sure he can wrestle hard and get the takedowns and mix it up with the hands. Arlene Blancow is fighting Diana Silva. What do you think?
I think Arlene Blancow's got too good a stand-up against Diana Silva. I think she throws too many straight punches. She's got quick hands, good movement. Diana Silva's tough. She just lost to, the ex-champion in Julia Budd. It was a close fight. It could have gone towards Silva, but I didn't think that Julia performed very well in that. I think Arlene's going to come off her loss to Cyborg in this. I think she's going to be ready for this fight. So
that's the other thing, though. How much did that loss affect her against Cyborg? Because she took some big shots in that fight. Big shots, So I mean, like, how much did that affect her confidence? The other thing as well is then how much has she grown in confidence? Because she's been training down at Jackson Wings for this fight. She didn't get to do the whole camp at Jackson Wings for the Cyborg fight because of COVID. So she was only, I think, able to do like the last 2 weeks there, I think is what she was able to do. And so this time, though, I follow her on social media, and she's been doing her whole camp down at Jackson Wings with Holly Holmes and all the other girls that are out of there. So they've got fabulous female team there of top fighters. So I'm interested to see exactly, how she performs with the full camp at Jackson Wings with all that talent that's surrounding her and helping her get better, building her confidence back up, and see if she can get back on the win track.
Yeah, the other one, if you're going to look in the women's division, Diana Hasaragova. Let's be honest. People look at her and they go, that's not a fighter, that's a model. And she is a very attractive person. But, man, I'm telling you, the first time I watched her fight, she comes out, goes for a takedown, gets behind, does a belly-to-back suplex. And I was like, oh, my God. And then she came out in her first fight in Bellator and starched her opponent in about 20 seconds with punches. And just, she is going to be good. She's got skills. Her wrestling is really good. And then she just proved her hands are good. So it's going to be interesting to see her in this fight against Golfin.
Yeah, she's definitely very marketable. Yep. She's got power. We saw that in her last fight. And like you said, she's got really good wrestling. So, I mean, for those of you guys trying to attach yourself to an up-and-comer, maybe you start following her to make sure that you can see how she's progressing throughout time. But she's definitely fun to watch. Cody Law is also on this card.
Yeah.
And he's looked really good. He's looked dominant throughout his short career so far. What is he, 4-0? 3 or 4-0?
No, he's 4-0.
But he's 4-0?
Yeah.
3-0.
He's
3-0? Yeah, he's 3-0.
Dan Lambert is super high on Cody Law.
Yep.
He believes he's one of the upcoming stars out of ATT, so
Yeah, he's got to focus. Scroll down a little bit there for me, Dave. He's got to focus on getting. I know he's got his one finish, he's got his submission choke, and he's got his TKO punches, but he's got to finish. He's got to focus on being more dominant in his finishes. I know he's dominant in terms of control, but dominant is like get in there and get him out. You know, his first fight, he was able to get into the submission. What was it? Oh, the Bravo choke. Yeah. But then the second fight, he TKO punches, but it was like one of the longer fights.
End of the end of the third round.
You know, it's like when you have, and he dominated that whole fight. Yeah. There's a little bit of scrambles going on in the first round, you know, because they were both fresh, but he dominated the rest of the fight. One of those fights, in that situation, you've got to be able to prove that you're ready for the next group of guys to fight, and he's got to be able to get those fighters out there, especially with how highly touted he is amongst the ATT team.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, what else?
There's one.
You were saying something else, John?
Yeah, there's one fight early. Johnny Soto against Adil Benjilani, and you talk about a contrast of styles, because Johnny Soto he's good on the ground. And I know he believes he's got really good stand-up too. No, just telling you right now, especially not against Adil. Benjilani is good in the stand-up. You talk about a guy that's fast, beautiful kicks, great combinations. He's got just beautiful stand-up. So I got stand-up fight, beautiful stand-up against beautiful ground. We're going to see if Johnny Soto decides quickly, screw the stand-up. I'm trying to take him to the ground. If he does that, he's got a chance against Benjilani. If he decides he's a stand-up fighter, say hello to Mr. Adil Benjilani, because he's going to end your night.
Yeah, it's going to be a good fight. Like I said, there's a couple sneaky good fights in here. You know what I mean? You know, Roman Feraldo, he's 5-0. He's tough.
Feraldo's good.
He's good. You know, Cody Law's good. Ronnie Marks coming off of a loss, but looking to get back on track. But he's fighting Saad Salma. So that should be a pretty good fight. But Salma's not a big heavyweight, and Ronnie Marks is huge now. What is he, like 260?
His thighs are just tree trunks now, man.
He's enormous,
big,
man. But in his last couple of fights, he's gotten real tired. You know, and so he's got to start working on his conditioning and pushing through. So
that's one thing Soma doesn't. He doesn't get tired.
Yeah, he pushes hard. So I'm looking at, look, for me, the fight's really to kind of look at, like you said, Johnny Soto and Benjilani. That's a good fight. I can't even say her name. Afsaravagova. Yeah, there you go. Because she's coming on hot on the scene. She's undefeated. You know, Roman Feraldo's really good. That should be a fun fight. Cody Law's up and coming as well, 5-0. Cody Law's 3-0. Yeah, you got Johnny Evelyn. To me, Johnny Evelyn's, I think, probably the potential next champ of that weight class. You know, I mean, he's fighting at 185. I mean, him and Austin Vanderford are making their runs, but they've got tough fighters in front of them. They've got not Leon Edwards, Fabian Edwards, and they've got Castelo Vanstinas.
Vanderford fought Fabian Edwards.
No, I know that, but I'm saying Vanstinas is still there though.
Yeah.
So you got Vanstinas there. You've got I know Austin's ahead of them, but Salter's getting the title shot next, so they're probably going to fight Austin Vanderford probably one more time. Yeah. And I mean, Castelo, he beat Fabian Edwards, but before that fight, I don't know why Fabian was ranked ahead of Castelo Vanstinas. Our fucking ranking system, I want people to understand this. Our ranking system is not done by Bellator, which I feel is, so it can't be skewed.
No.
But I get so frustrated. Yes. It's ridiculous. It's the media. I think there's 15 sources of the media that just have like no clue. They've got people ranked ahead of someone that they just beat. Yeah. I mean, how is this possible?
Behind somebody that they just beat.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, ranked behind them. This is what I meant. It's frustrating sometimes. I see, I'm like, how is this person ranked behind them, knowing that their last fight they beat that person? I don't get it. Anyways, all right. So let's move on to the UFC card. Oh, but first, let's go to mybookie.ag. Use the promo code weighing in, and if you guys bet on the fights last weekend, we, Big John and I, won you some money. That's all you had to say. Just say thank you. And for those of you guys that were watching me on Fight Companion, okay, look, I had no money in. It was Bradley and Brendan.
No money in.
I had no money in. They had the money in, And I was just, I don't know, somehow, some way, I got piggyback into this and I got $500 out of it. So I wasn't about to argue with Bradley. We bet all in on Conor because Brendan wanted to get his money back. I was along for the ride. I'm like, look, if I was actually, can I just pull my 500 out?
But you didn't. So how did you walk away with $500?
I didn't walk away with 500. I didn't walk
Okay.
away with, no. I should have, though. I wanted to pull my money out. And he's like, no, I'll give you your money. I'm like, no, man, it's not even my money. I didn't even put any money in, but somehow I got $500 out of this. I thought it was great. It was well played by me. You guys wonder why?
That was the
It was
funniest
the
moment
funniest
of the whole
part.
3 hours.
Yeah.
I was
like,
dying
hey,
laughing, man.
Can I pull my money out? If you're gonna bet on Conor, I want to pull my money out. Everyone's like, I can't believe you picked Conor. And then I'm like, I wasn't picking. I was along for the ride. I was like, somehow I ended up with $500 invested into this thing, and I didn't put any money in, didn't shake on any bets. But somehow, if Conor would have won, I would have came out with $1,000. No idea how. He's like, yeah, I'll give you $1,000.
Right on.
I'll give you 500 on the other 500 because you're doubling your money. I'm like, man, no way, man, crazy. Anyways, but that was the funniest.
You just
part.
need to tell Bradley to go to MyBookie, get all of his
go
gambling
to
done.
mybookie.ag. Use
And
the
if
promo
you use
code
the
weighing
promo
in.
code weighing in, hello.
And they give them a little extra money. I've seen a lot of these other fighters during this last week, and they were promoting the mybookie.ag. So, all right, let's jump into the UFC card. You want to start at the top? Let's work our way from the bottom. Let's work our way from the bottom.
Okay.
Is there any fight? I'm not saying from the full bottom. I'm saying pick some fights on there that you're interested in potentially seeing.
Oh my God. You know, I really like Miles Johns. I think that's going to be a fun fight between him and Anderson Dos Santos.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Miles Johns is good. He is a tough sucker, but Dos Santos got a lot more experience than him. We'll see if that is a factor in it. Size-wise, it'll be interesting, but I mean, the fight that I'm really looking forward to overall is I want to see Billy Quarantino against Gabriel Benitez. That's a fight where both guys are super tough. They both come forward. They both don't stop. I love Billy, the way that Billy Q fights. He just keeps on coming after you, and he just wears guys out. But I don't think he can wear Gabriel out because he's got that, super high
Mexican
output.
cardio.
Oh, yeah. Super high output volume, too. So I think that's just going to be a really fun fight to watch. I think they're going to be going after each other. And then if you look at it, the truth of the matter, Islam against Thiago, that's a good fight. It's interesting. Thiago has his, things that you can look at. You go, well, that could give Islam problems. I think Islam overall is the guy that should be the favorite in the fight. But it's a good matchup, and it should be an interesting fight to watch.
Yeah, Billy Q and Gabriel Benitez. Yeah, I mean, I trained with him for the longest time at AKA. So
Boy, he's got hard kicks too.
Yeah, his back leg kick, because he's southpaw, that back left leg kick is nasty to the body. He hits a toe kick beautifully. He's a dog, man. He's someone that will deliver a punch, to throw a punch, and he's a scrapper. I love watching him fight. I hated training with him because he did kick hard and he was super fast, and I just hated it. I didn't like being kicked by him. Yeah. He's a great person as well, so I'm pumped for him. I also know that his contract is coming up. So I think he's going to have to make sure he ends his contract. I believe he's got 2 fights left on his contract. So he's got to get a win here, and so they can start talking renegotiations. You want to make sure the fight before your last fight that you get a win. So then they don't hold anything over your head. Like, oh, you lost your fight before that. No, I don't care. I'm on a win right now. That's all I care about, and I'm making my run. I'm making my run back. I had to make some adjustments, and the losses I took during COVID, it's not the same. These aren't the same, man. Not the same training camps, not the same fighter. I'm not, no fans.
Look at you making excuses.
I am making excuses. I am going to make excuses. And you guys all know, because you guys listen to our show every week, I am a fucking homer. Okay? When it comes to people I've trained with and I like, I'm going to just go hard in the paint for them. That's all. Yeah,
So
Billy Q's tough, though.
Okay, yeah. So you're definitely going with Gabriel.
Yeah.
And I agree. He's a really good fighter. I really enjoy him. But I'm going to go with Billy in this one. So you and I will have a wager on this fight.
All right.
We'll have to figure out what it is. But
It's probably another steak dinner.
yeah, baby. You already owe me one.
Yeah, I think we're allowed to sit down at restaurants now. So you know what? Michael Jordan's or
Oh,
what's
there
the
you
other
go.
place? What's the other? There's another place. Oh, Ballo's has a good little fillet, I believe there. You
Go.
can hit up Ballo. Anyways, oh yeah, a couple little spots there at the Mohegan Sun Got some good restaurants in there. A couple good restaurants.
All right.
Rodolfo Vieira coming off of his loss. Who did he lose to? Martinez, right?
Oh, no, he lost to Alex, didn't he?
Tough
Anthony Hernandez.
Mexican guy.
Fluffy.
Anthony Hernandez, right?
Yeah, Anthony Hernandez.
What do they call
Fluffy.
him? What's his
Fluffy.
Yes.
Come on, he's awesome, man.
Bro, he subbed him, didn't he? He subbed
yes,
him.
he did.
Caught him in a submission.
Yeah.
But Rodolfo Vieira is he should be fighting at 205.
Yes, he's cutting too much weight.
He's cutting to 185. He's huge for the weight.
Yeah.
And that fight, it showed. About halfway through the second, no, I would say
Gases.
probably by the end of the first round, he was done.
Oh, no.
He was done.
Let's be honest. It wasn't even the end of the first round. 2 minutes into the first round,
Yeah.
he was hurting. Lactic acid was built up in his arms. He went after a variety of submissions. He didn't get them. And then it was downhill from that point because he was gassed. And he took a lot of punishment and showed he's a tough dude because he didn't quit, but he was, I don't care who you are. If you can't breathe, you can't fight.
Yeah, he chased so many submissions in the first 2.5, 3 minutes of that fight. He was done. He got up. You could just tell, like, I believe he sat on his knees right after the first round, or someone had to walk him back to it was something like that. It was a really weird ending of the first round where he almost didn't make it back to his corner. And they were like, hey, you got to get up or something. So I think someone said, like, you got to walk yourself to the corner or something like that is what they said. And so, as I recall, he just was exhausted. So I'm interested to see. He should be fighting at 205. He should not be trying to fight at 185. I bet you he'll perform a lot better. He's huge. I want to say in that fight, Rogan was talking about how big he was compared to everybody else. So he's just cutting too much weight. We've seen the performances by people who don't cut that much weight. Let's try and stay in that limit of, when I was talking with Cody Garbrandt the other day, he's like, I walk around 147. He's like, I don't have to cut a lot of weight. That's not, that's nothing. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably why you still have a lot of energy going into the fifth round, things like that. So who knows? But Vieira needs to stop cutting so much weight. Yep. I'm surprised. You went right from the Dos Santos fight up to Islam. You skipped everyone. I'm sorry, mate, but you got to put some respect on this woman legend's name, man. Miesha Tate, coming off having 2 kids. Bro, you've got to put some respect on this female's name. Let's go, Big John.
First off, I respect Miesha and everything that she's done, but I'm not sure that coming back to fighting is the best thing for her.
She looks ripped right now.
She does. Oh, she looks fantastic as far as being in shape. You can tell that she has spent the time to get herself back. But let's be honest. When she left, she was not the same fighter that she was when she made her run and got the title and beat Holly. She was slowing down. Her punches were not the same, and she was never a good stand-up fighter. She was a grappler.
Yeah.
And she dominated other ladies on the ground. She had a superior ground game. She did, she had good ground and pound. She did a lot of great work when she was down there. She got good submissions, and she is absolutely just an outstanding person. But, she's, like you said, a couple years older. She's in shape, but being in shape does not mean that you're back to being able to fight at the level that you were at a certain point in your career. And, she had several losses in a row, coming into the end of when she decided that she was going to pull the plug. I think the UFC is giving her the best matchup they can give her, and this is going to say a lot of how she does in that matchup. But it's not, I know you're looking forward to that fight. I'm not really looking forward to it.
Just because I know all the things that she's been through. Like, she was living in Singapore during all the COVID lockdowns. It was absolutely driving her crazy. She had just 1 child at the time. She was pregnant. Like, there was a lot of emotions going through. I'm sure the hormones for her were running wild. And everyone knows I'm a huge fan of her, and I just think that her coming back home, it was like a sense of relief. She's back in Vegas. She's around all the people that she loved being around when she was making her run for the title. She just got reinvigorated being around all the young females that are at Extreme Couture and all the other locations that she trains at. And you look at her, John, and I look at her picture here on Sherdog, and I'm like, she looks better now, though, as ripped and lean and fit than she did when she was, fighting under the UFC before. It was like she had, and I said this on the Rogan show when I was on Joe's show. I said, females don't hit their prime until like 34 to 38 kind of position. And that's kind of what she's proven to me right now. She's 34 years old. She looks absolutely amazing. 2 kids. She's been through the gauntlet of everything. The other thing as well, scroll down for me, Dave, on her record. Look who she lost to. I understand the Raquel Pennington thing, but she's lost to Kat. She lost to Ronda Rousey. That was way before she made her run. Then she lost to Amanda Nunes, who everyone wants to say is the GOAT. Okay. So she lost to her, and then she lost to Raquel Pennington.
Hold on. You said she lost to Ronda Rousey before she made her run. No, she was, in fact, the champion in Strikeforce when Ronda Rousey beat her for that title.
I'm talking about the last one there, buddy.
Or her last run in the UFC.
Yeah, her last run in the UFC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought we were talking current fights, not 15 years ago.
But again, take a look at those fights and what she was doing, though. A lot of her wins when she was on that run that you're talking about before she got that 5th round, rear naked choke against Holly, most of those fights that she won, they were decision victories.
Yeah.
A couple of them split decision, majority decision. And so they were close fights. She wasn't overwhelming anyone. She wasn't dominating her opponents, but she was getting past them, and that's all she has to do. I'm not taking anything away from it. And then she got the great win against Holly, but then she ran into Amanda. And that's, UFC 200. They ended up, that was the whole Cormier versus Jones fiasco, and she ended up being pushed into the main event of the evening with Amanda, and it didn't end well for her.
No.
But I don't know. I love her, and she's always been a great person to me. I have nothing against Misha.
There's that respect.
I want her to do well. I just worry. That's all.
No, you come from that worrying of a parent kind of situation.
Yeah,
you're like that dad worry because you've known her for the longest time. I've known her forever.
Yep.
I mean, I want to say like she was fighting when she was like 15, 17, something like that.
17.
I remember seeing her when she was on the circuit. I'm like up in the Northwest area. I'm thinking to myself, she can't be that old. Like, how is she even able to fight? I remember seeing her, and then when she was in Strikeforce and stuff. But regardless, look, her loss to Amanda Nunes, and then she lost to Raquel Pennington, who then went on to fight for the title. I mean, those are 2 tough fighters. Yeah. And like I said, different stages of her life. Seems like she's refocused, reinvigorated, being back in the States, being back at home. I think she's married now, or she's engaged now, to Johnny. Yeah. I don't know his name. His last name is Johnny something. Johnny Nunes. They've got 2 wonderful kids. So I think she's finally like, during her time also too, she was going through a lot of that shit with her ex. I don't remember the guy's name, but anyways, yeah.
Right,
but she was going through. Yeah, there you go. She was going through all that stuff with him. It's like I think it was kind of hurting her career as well. There was a lot of emotional stuff going there, and this. I think she's refocused, and I mean, like you said, I also think the UFC did her a favor. They gave her a fight that is very winnable. Yeah. I mean, she is I feel like one of the pioneers for women's MMA. Been around forever. Yeah. You've got who? You got Gina. You've got Cyborg. You've got Ronda. You've got
Marloche.
You're
forgetting Marloche, don't you?
No, I did not forget her.
Yes, you did. No, I had to bring up the name. Just be honest about it.
No, you just beat me to the punch. That's all.
Okay,
You're pretty quick with the tongue. That's why. Pretty quick with the tongue. But that's the fight I'm looking forward to. And obviously, I'm always looking forward to watching Jeremy Stephens fight because he's a fucking dog.
He's a savage.
I just love watching him fight. You got to watch him fight. He's just a stud. He's a savage.
And actually, I swear to God, I missed I didn't even see his name on the list. I went right over it.
Reading is not your strong suit. We understand that.
Obviously not.
I lack in math. You lack in reading. I understand. Yeah.
No, Jeremy Stephens, he's a savage. And that's a tough fight for him, though.
It is.
Camaro's, he's good. That guy is good. So, but Jeremy's not afraid of trading hands with anyone. He wants that fight to be on the feet. We'll see if he can keep it on the feet.
Yeah, I think he's got to mix it up, though. I feel like he's gotten a lot of miles on him now. He's getting a little bit older. What is he, 35, I think?
Probably. Maybe even 36.
That might be wrong.
Yeah, 35.
Yeah, 35. He's got some miles on him, man. This is kind of that stage where, like, this is your last chance to make a run. So he's going to have to make sure. This is a tough fight, too, because Mestiz is like 18-1, tough as hell, good on the feet as well. Yep. But Jeremy's just a dog, and I'm gonna always root for the old school guys because I'm an old dog myself.
Gabriel's got that Polish power, baby.
Yeah,
something about that those guys from Poland, man, and ladies, excuse me.
Yeah, because they Polish fucking live in the goddamn snow. Just I think the sun only comes out like 28 days of the year.
I've been to Poland. Poland's a really nice place.
Someone told me that it is.
It really is.
Yeah. Okay, but let me get into one of my teammates in Islam Makhachev. He's just good. I know. He's just good, but he's got his hands full. Thiago's tough. Thiago's really tough, and he's going to try to get into Islam's grill. He's going to try to make him fight. He just got to make sure he can avoid the takedown. If he can stuff a couple takedowns, I think it's going to. But I don't think he can.
Thiago is going to work to keep this fight on the feet. He wants to keep that distance. He wants to control the center of the cage. He wants to make Islam shoot from the outside. He has the ability to beat him, no doubt about it. He's a good all-around fighter. His ground game, he's got a good, ground game, but it's not enough for him to get off of his back if Islam takes him down. So he's going to be underneath and absorbing a lot of damage, and so he's got to get himself out of those positions if that's what happens. But he's his stand-up, I honestly think that he's faster than Islam.
Yeah, Islam's not a fast guy.
Yeah, and so that's the thing that he's got on his side. He's got fast hands, but he's got to maintain when you got a guy that's pressuring you a lot, like Islam is gonna do. That burns energy because you're always tense, and when is he going to take that shot, and then you're throwing, and so he's got to maintain and monitor how much output he's putting out, and when he does it, he's got to be smart about it, and he's got to use that speed at the appropriate times to put shots that make Islam then go, ooh, I can't have that happen again. I need to take a step back, and those moments when he gets those breaks that Islam creates, that's a good thing for him.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, man. Thiago's just got to stay on his bike. He's got to make sure, because what's going to happen is
he stays on his bike, he's going to run out of gas.
Yeah, that's true as well. And it's going to be hard to stop the takedowns. Islam's going to take the center of the cage, and every time that Thiago steps in, he's going to light him up with that quick, sneaky head kick from the southpaw stance. He's going to go boom, head kick, and then come back with a combination, or he's going to go body, and then he's going to go back up to the head, and then he's going to go right to wrestling. He gets you in that clinch. The difference between, I want everyone to understand this when you guys are listening to me talk and break this down. The difference between him and Khabib is a double leg guy. Don't get me wrong. He's got the throws, the foot sweeps, the trips. He's got all those. But he is more of someone that is a dog. He just gets in there like a bulldog, just gets in there, burrows his head in there for the double leg, lifts you and slams you. Islam is not that guy. His finesse is on the feet when he gets you in the clinch. He locks the glove down underneath the armpit. He'll bounce you off the cage, and he'll foot sweep you. He'll inside leg trip you. Okay, he'll step on your foot and ride you forward. Little things that you won't see if you don't understand the sport. Little things that, like, even people that do understand the sport, they don't understand. How come the guy didn't just pull his glove out? Like, how stupid. But it's stuck in his armpit.
On the other part. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the one thing with the UFC gloves that I always hated, was that it's got the big pad on the top, right? The Strikeforce gloves used to just have the smooth Fairtex style ones. But I mean, like the UFC ones have the big pad on the front, so it's easy to lock them down into the armpit, and then that's how they can help throw. Stepping on the feet is big, and then also, too, he's very good at knee tapping you. So not in terms of like knee tapping with the hand, but in terms of he bounces you off the cage a little bit, and he scoots to the side on your hip, and then he just uses his knee to drag you down.
And he also impressive. He brings you backside all the time. He puts pressure, making you lean to a certain against it, and then he just takes you off to that side.
Yeah, and he'll just hang you on that side. When he hangs you on that side, it's like Khabib in that situation. They both ride really well in the side position, and they get heavy on you and just keep driving you forward. And you can't post on your hand for 3 minutes. It's a pain, not when you're carrying somebody else's weight, who by the time they fight, Islam will probably weigh about 180. So you're carrying another 180 pounds plus your own weight. So it's tough. But the one thing, I think you called out perfectly, I think Thiago's faster. Yeah. Thiago's going to have a better chance of getting in and getting out. He's just got to make sure he avoids the takedown. And the one thing that's always kind of made me nervous with Islam is that he is dominant at every turn in a fight and in the gym. But what concerns me, this is his first 5-round fight in the UFC. I'm a little nervous because I've seen with the Nick Lentz fight, and I've seen with sometimes he tends to, because he does use a lot of strength, he does tend to slow down. And so as the fight goes on, if he doesn't, because he's nasty, strong on top, he's got great submissions. He's got better submissions than most of the guys in the gym. I've seen him train with top-level black belts. I'm talking about world champions, and just dominated them, made them look like they didn't belong on the mats at all. And I was like, wow, he's actually calling out what submission he's going to get on top-level black belts that have won worlds and just dominating them. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to get him in this, and like joking around and being friendly about it, but just demolishing them. And I've seen him do it. And so if he doesn't get it, is he going to end up like Rodolfo Vieira, where he gets tired chasing submissions? He doesn't chase submission, but he gets to the position where he's used a lot of strength with the Nick Lentz. He looked pasty pale white going into the third round because he looked so exhausted. And I was just something I captured when I was watching that fight. I'm like, how are you tired? You're never tired in the gym. But he was tired. You could see it's the adrenaline, being on the big stage. Yeah, pressure of the fight. So I'm not sure. I think this is going to be a big test if he's ready to be the next run at the title for the Dagestani guys. And so we're going to see. It's a big chance for him, a big opportunity for him to capture it. We'll see. I wish him the best. Even though you do.
You want to see him go to 20 wins with 1 loss. I understand.
Yeah, and I feel bad. It sucks because I would have loved to have seen him be undefeated as well right now. Young in his career, he got clipped and fight was done, and it sucks. It sucks for him because I know it was just one of those fights like shit. You got caught, and
no biggie.
Here's the thing: the speed was a factor in that fight. Right. He got clipped and he got caught. That could be the same type of situation here. But I think he's gotten a lot better. He's gotten way better since then. I know that for sure. But we're gonna see. This is a big step up for him. Good stuff. A lot of guys said they want to fight him, but then none of them, when they, like UFC said, when we called them, they said, no, I was kidding.
There's not a lot of guys that want to right
now. No. Have you noticed when he starts calling people out, there's no response? Oh, I think it's great.
People know.
All right. Well, hey, Dave, what else you got for us, buddy?
All right. We only have one real other piece of news that's separate from the Conor thing. It still kind of is tied in with that main event, but Colby Covington came out and said he wants to settle his personal rivalry with Dustin Poirier inside the octagon.
Interesting.
Good. That's awesome. Colby, do yourself a favor. There's this guy named Kamaru Usman. That's the guy you need to worry about. He's in your weight class. He's the champion there. Dustin Poirier is in a different weight class. He doesn't even fight in the same weight class as you right now. If that fight someday comes to fruition, awesome. Right now, you better start worrying about Kamaru Usman.
Yeah. He's got to
talk.
Just look. I love the shtick that he does. He's going to keep doing it. It's getting him attention, but he's going to end up like the Josh Koscheck. I think he's already there. He's actually worse than I think Josh Koscheck. Like Josh, he couldn't win people over because of the Ultimate Fighter, and everyone hated him after that. So he just played the heel the rest of his career.
Yeah, exactly.
But as soon as you start losing, it just gets worse. And I think it becomes one of those things where now it starts fucking with your own mental because you've been the heel and now you're losing. See, when you were the heel and you were winning,
you can do it. You can do it.
Mentally, you're prepared. Like, I got this shit. I'm going to beat this guy and beat this guy. But after Koscheck lost, he lost 5 in a row, 5 or 6 in a row. Like, after he lost to GSP, he lost 5 or 6 in a row after he made his run. Never the same. He was just never the same. Because not only are you reading all the shit that goes on in the media, but all the interviews, all the people that are doing the interviews with you, they're asking you negative questions. You're having to answer negative questions. It all adds up. It starts fucking with your mind. And you just can't perform. You're thinking about it in the gym. You're thinking about it at night when you sleep. You're thinking about it right before the fight. You're thinking about it when you're in the cage, when you're in the back warming up.
It's very hard to be somebody you're not.
Yeah.
And this is where, people can sit there and say, if you're actually someone that likes people and enjoys being around and you got to play this part, the guy that, really did a great job. I can remember when Josh Koscheck would come into the arena at a UFC when he wasn't fighting, and the boos that would go off were unbelievable. And it was him and Michael Bisping, but Michael Bisping was the same thing. He had the same, people hated him. And, Michael used it. He played it well, and he was able to actually turn it around and become the good guy. It was basically after he lost to Dan Henderson at UFC 100 when that big old flying elbow that Dan threw at the end. it kind of changed then for Bisping, and people started liking him. And now, he's beloved. You go back to the days of 2007 and stuff. He would walk in the arena, they would boo the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing because he's a good guy. He's a really good guy. And so it's tough when you're that good guy to have people booing you that don't even know you. It's tough, and it can affect the fighters. And this is where we say being the heel is easy when you're winning.
Yep.
It is not an easy thing to be when you're losing.
Nope. And I think he's gonna find out. Colby's gonna find out.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, oh shit, like because he's lost now. He's got the loss to Usman.
If he
and then
loses
he's got
again
the one win over T Wood. But if he loses again, it's gonna be that snowball effect of who he fights next. And then once you've lost twice to the champion, Usman's gonna be there for a little bit. They're not gonna give you another shot here anytime soon. So they're gonna start just weeding you out. You're gonna be the gatekeeper until Usman loses the title. That's really what it's gonna come down to. I don't know how I feel about him calling out Dustin. It's just him trying to get into the headlines after Dustin having a great performance, and doing what he did against Conor.
They're not even the same weight class. Call out George Masvidal.
But I'd like to see Dustin go up, though. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind. So, all right, what else you got for us there, Podcast Dave?
Do you want to jump into some fan questions?
Let's do it. Let's do some fan Q&A. But first, make sure you guys go to our Wayne and Shorts channel. Hit that subscribe button. The link is in down below. And so make sure you guys do that, as well as subscribe to our channel and share our videos all around. We appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. And let's get into these Q&A, baby.
All right, so the first question comes from...
I was talking to you, though. I was talking to you, baby. I was talking to you.
Which baby?
You, baby. I love me some Podcast Dave. I bet you I gave Chin a little bit of love on the fight campaign. I bet Dave is getting all butthurt. He was all upset.
What did you give him?
I just said he did a bunch of stuff to help set up the fight campaign, like because they were cramming it all in there to try to get it set up. I'm like, man, I can't even get Dave to help me set up my laptop. That's great. I love it. No, I give Dave. Dave always helps me, man. Dave does a wonderful job for us. Keeps us on the air. That's really what he does. I love it. Dave,
man, let's go.
John.
Come on. What?
He does a good job. Come on, tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Thanks, John.
Well, you told me to tell you you're wrong.
I didn't think
Dave,
you would.
I love Podcast Dave, man. The best part of Podcast Dave is this. Now that Podcast Dave has moved and is not in your little studio,
oh man,
I get to enjoy you going through all kinds of hell trying to get your shit to work, and it just cracks me up because you've always been sitting there and in your little chair waiting for me like, oh, what's wrong, John? Right? Now you know.
But the worst part is it nothing. It's not actually hard stuff. It's things like, all right, Josh, now click the left click, and Josh is like, I'm clicking, and I'm like, okay, you clicking left or right? I'm clicking the right one. No, the left one, Josh. Oh, okay, it worked. It's shit like that where it's just funny, man. You just those 4 brain cells you have. Josh.
Look, I brought everything down to film the show at Brendan's place. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you just say you've got it down?
I think I've got it down pretty good.
Do you know how often Dave and I have to watch your navel in the camera as you're trying to figure things out?
Hey, you're lucky it's not my balls.
Dude, it has been.
It has been. Real quick story, guys. This is funny. Dave was in here working, getting set up, and I just got done teaching class. And I came in here, and David left the studio when he was living here. He had left the studio to use the restroom, and I was like, okay, I was all sweaty. I was like, okay, I got to change out of these clothes. So I looked around. Didn't see John wasn't brought up on the Zoom on the TV like he normally is, so I didn't see John. But the GoPro is pointed right at me, and I sneak behind the door, or not the door, the chair, and I change. And John's like, and I can hear John in the headphones going, "Oh yeah, baby, I see it all.
It's there." Then I start going, "My eyes, my
eyes." Oh man. So yep, John see me naked. Oh, it's great.
Give me $20. I'll say it was impressive.
Josh, you have no idea how many times prior to that where I've had that live streaming on other websites.
Oh, jeez, man. Jeez.
You're famous and you don't even know it.
Yeah, it's all right, though. Hey. I wonder if I'm getting. I want to. You should have told me, man. I could have hooked up a Venmo. I mean, it paid me a little bit to do that.
He'll get his own fan OnlyFans or whatever it is.
OnlyFans or fans only? What is it?
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into these Q&As.
All right. Luis Flores asks, for both John and Josh, who has a better chance to beat this version of Francis Ngannou, Derek Lewis or Cyril Gane?
No. Jeez, man. Actually, that's kind of a hard question. I was like, oh, yeah, for sure, Cyril Gane. But then I'm like,
no,
Derek can take a shot. Yeah, I think Derek probably.
Yeah, I think Derek is actually a harder fight for Francis in the fact that Derek is awkward. That causes him problems. Derek is very strong himself. He hits really hard, so Francis is a little bit hesitant to throw at times based upon how awkward Derek is. Cyril's got a very smooth style. That's easier sometimes for someone who is capable in the stand-up to be able to time and things, where Derek just doesn't have that smoothness to his game. I think Derek Lewis is actually the harder matchup.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the hardest matchup for him, though, is John Jones. I know he's not on that list, but I think the hardest matchup for him is John Jones. Just the athleticism, that front thigh kick's going to be a factor.
Just
the wrestling.
The fight IQ.
Yeah.
What John can do and how John can change in the middle of the fight makes him a handful.
Yeah, but I think there's a good chance Cyril Gane beats Derek Lewis. Just styles make matchups.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. Styles make matchups. But can Cyril Gane take Derek Lewis down for 5 rounds if he needs to? I don't know about that. That's the other thing. See? And all Derek needs, and we've seen it when he fought Volkov, he only needs 2 seconds. One punch.
Needs one.
Yeah, he just needs the two hits. Him hitting the body and the body hitting the ground. That's all he needs right there. So he's a dog, man. I love watching him fight. He's just fun. He's great post-fight interviews because my balls are hot.
He's a good guy.
I love it because my balls are hot. It's great stuff. But yeah, I'd have to probably say Derek Lewis is a tougher fight for him. What else you got?
Tony Montana asks, question for John, how do you react so fast to quick stoppages? Were you doing any kind of reaction training?
No. You don't to say you do reaction training. No, because every fight's different, and you're looking for certain things. What you do, the more you see fights, and the more fights you do, and this is why I always say, you want to be doing a lot of what I call repetitions. The more fights you do, the better you are at seeing things. And I do it all the time now. I'll see a guy get hit, and I go, he's hurt, and he's hurt. Trust me. And then all of a sudden you see him, he starts to do this buckle. You start to see things fast. And when you can slow it down, when you see it and you know exactly how, where the guy's hurt, it slows the fight down for you. And so it makes it easier for you as the referee. But it takes time to get that. Everyone thinks that, I could do this. One of the best things I had was I had the command program where I would teach, people, and some of them were, a lot of high level mixed martial artists, guys that were coming out of the fighter realm, trying to be in the officiating realm. Some were guys coming off of their couch because they knew they could do this, or so, all this stuff. The best part was putting them in a cage the first time and having fighters in there and telling the fighters, okay, this is what I want you to do. And they're going slow. And you tell the person in the cage, so just move around with them. Once we get past a minute, I want you to start. If you see something, I want you to start to handle it. I want you to call out what the foul is. Start to just tell them, hey, don't grab the fence, don't grab the shorts, let go of this, whatever it's going to be. And so the 1 minute would go, and then all of a sudden they're going right. And I would do the minute to try to help them, but it would just cause this whole progression of, they were just letting everything go, and all these fouls are happening, and you would stop it after about 3 minutes, right? And you go, all right, let's talk about this. What fouls did you see? There wasn't any. I didn't see any, right? And then you go, okay, everyone on the outside, start naming the fouls, and people were, 20 fouls later, they're going, there's no way that you've got to get used to seeing things and understanding how to deal with them, and that's all part of your progression as an official, is knowing exactly if something happens, what do I do and how do I do it? and then being consistent with it.
Well, let me answer that question a little bit better than you did.
Okay, go ahead.
The question was, can you read it again there, podcast Dave?
Question for John. How do you react so fast to quick stoppages? Were you doing any kind of reaction training?
Yeah, his reaction training was making sure that he was always in the right spot at the right time to react from the view to see the most damage. There, simply put. So when I fought Patricky, he fucked up. That's really what it came down to. When I fought Patricky, he fucked up. But bottom line is, that's the way he reacts so fast. He's in the right place at the right time, majority of the time, except for the one time, or maybe multiple times, but just for me, but good stuff. Yeah, no, that's kind of what it is, though, right? You got to always make sure that you're always in that right place at the right time and knowing what you're looking at.
Yeah, you're trying to put yourself in the right place. Is it? It's like anything. It's just like the fight.
I didn't know this. I didn't know this until I started working for Bellator with you and then doing the commentary. We were talking about, hey, how come I can't see the fucking angle I want to see? Like, why is the ref not there? Well, because the camera's not seeing the angle I want to see because the fucking ref's in the same position. That's where the ref should be. So when you see the camera bouncing around, it's because the ref's probably walked into the camera view and is blocking your shot. So every camera, they're taking the best angle. So they're doing their job. So when you say like, oh shit, that's a great position. Well, it's probably because the ref was about to walk into that scene, or into that shot, and scene, into that scene, like a porno, like a porno scene or something. No, but like he's about ready to walk into that shot, and so they had to switch cameras to another angle. Yep. And so, I didn't know that though until I started working with you and working with Bellator, and we started watching the
referees are the director's worst nightmare.
Yeah, they hate them.
They're the best because it was Anthony Giordano from the UFC always used to say, John, can you not stand in the? I said, no, can't. So I said, Anthony, you want that shot, right? And he goes, yeah. And I said, so do I.
Yeah.
He would hate me. That's just the way it is.
What else?
Next question is from Water Legend 72 asking, for Josh and John, who do you think holds the lightweight belt at the end of 2022 and whose hands does it pass through?
The end of 2022?
Yeah, so not the end of this year, but end of next.
Wow, that's a long time.
Do you want to see these rankings?
Yeah. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna at the end of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say it's either gonna be Dustin Poirier or it's gonna be Islam.
Wow.
It's gonna be one of those two guys. Bless me. What do you think?
Who holds it in between as well?
I think it's going to be Dustin. I would go with also Charles Oliveira, but I'd say like it'd be between Dustin and Charles Oliveira because both of them are hot. Dustin's been the more consistent. If you look at the fighters that Dustin has fought in his career, period, from 45 to 55, it's fucking murderer's row. I don't know if I've ever seen a better roster of guys that of any fighter who's ever fought except for him. He has fought everyone, all the best guys. He's beaten almost all the best guys. He's a fucking stud. And it seems like he's only getting better with his maturity in the sport. You know, his losses, the Michael Johnson loss, but then he lost to Khabib. You know, he had the no contest to Eddie, but I think he was winning that fight, I believe, right? He had dropped Eddie and then he was doing well in that. And that was Eddie had him in a position up against the cage, and there was an exchange of a knee to the head on the ground and stuff. So. But scroll down a little bit for me, please. So you got Yancy Medeiros, Bobby Green, Diego Ferreira. He lost to Conor, but then Diego Brandao. Go back up. Cubs. He lost to Cub Swanson a long, long time ago. But then after his loss,
long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago. When he lost to Michael Johnson, he went on his run. He beat Jim Miller. He beat. Then he had the no contest with Eddie Alvarez. Then he beat Anthony Pettis, Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, Max Holloway. Loses to Khabib in the title fight. Beats Dan Hooker, Conor McGregor. He's fought the who's who in this fucking sport. And so if I'm going to stake my claim on who's going to potentially be the champion at the end, it's going to be either him or Islam. And I'm only saying Islam, not because I'm a homer, because I can see that they're trying to fast track him up to that position to at least get into that talk and that conversation. I think that has a lot to do with just the respect between Khabib and Dana right now that's going on, because Dana really wants Khabib to make a return. But I think Khabib's done. And he knows that. So that's why this is Islam's time. They want to rush him to get to the title. So he's going to fight Thiago. After he fights Thiago, I can see them potentially putting him against maybe either Tony or I can see maybe in Beneil. But the problem with Beneil's managed by Ali. And so I don't think he's going to want that fight. So I don't think it would be a smart fight for Beneil either. So I'm going to say Islam's going to make his trek up to that
Very
top
simple.
position.
Very simple here. First off, don't disrespect Charles Oliveira. He's that.
That's true. I did a little bit there, John. Sorry.
No, I'm not saying.
Just like you respected, you disrespected.
I'm not saying you. I'm
it.
saying people. Don't disrespect Charles Oliveira. You know, he's that good. Charles Oliveira is a handful for anyone. And Dustin Poirier coming up into that fight, you know, Dustin might be the favorite in the betting odds, but it ain't going to be by a lot. And that is a pick'em fight. Both guys are outstanding. And Charles can win that fight just as easily as Dustin can win that fight. So that's the two that, you know, at the top, kind of another step above everybody else right now. I think that if Islam gets past Thiago in this fight, I think his next fight's going to be Michael Chandler. I think that they're going to look to putting Islam against Michael Chandler in a fight. We'll see, but I think that's a fight that they would like to see because it's putting him against a guy that's got power, a guy that can wrestle, and let's see how you do against someone that can wrestle. I'm not saying that I don't think he can wrestle against Michael. I believe he can, but I think the UFC is going to kind of look at it that way. That's going to separate him from the Beneil Dariush, and that's something that Ali would like to do, you know, like you're saying. So the Michael Chandler fight works for him where the Beneil does not work for him, and that's moving him up in ranks, getting him up into that upper five. So I think he's 2 fights away from being in that conversation of, you know, the top guy. So the real guy that is sitting there kind of in limbo is Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, I thought him and Chandler were scheduled or talking about fighting.
Well, they did, and
Dana
it didn't happen. Yeah, it didn't happen. So
but I heard Chandler was going to want to take time off, some time off after his loss, which is to be expected. But I thought they were still targeting that Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler fight. That's a fan favorite fight.
I would love to see it.
That's the fight I want to see.
I would love to see it. It would be a great fight. But if they don't do that, then I'm looking. It's like, what do you do with Justin? You know, that's a fight where, you know, a guy that, you know, he can beat anybody on any given day, but they just don't have.
He's managed by Ali as well.
I know.
Yeah, I would say Islam. I think Ali. What Ali does is he just talks hella shit to the guys that he wants him to fight. That he wants his guys to fight. He gets on there. He talks hella shit to Tony Ferguson. He gets on there and talks hella shit to Conor McGregor. And those guys, what they do is they continue to go out there and fight his guys. Don't take those fights. He knows because he sees a weakness in what you guys are doing. Like, don't do those. Don't take those fights. I don't know. Anyways, Tony, I think that Islam, I think Ali's going to try to match Islam up against Tony. I think that's what he's going to try to do.
Yeah, but okay, think about it. If you're the UFC, you're looking, you take Islam, a guy who's, you know, 19-1. We'll say he gets this win. He's 20-1, and I'm going to put him against Tony Ferguson, who's coming off of several losses.
Three losses. Yeah, no, but here's the thing: he's still ranked higher than him. So yeah, you could say that. I mean, Islam's ranked number 8 or something like that, and Tony's ranked number 6 or 9.
Islam's
you know,
9,
so I understand what you're saying. I get it. I get what you're saying. I do. But I think that Ali's going to make a push for the Tony fight. That's what I think. Or the RDA fight. I mean, that's a good fight as well for Islam.
That would be the RDA fight is the one fight I'm looking at, that Justin Gaethje. I can see them taking and putting Justin against RDA.
That's good. We'll see. I guess we'll see. Go ahead, next one. Sorry, guys.
Sam McLean asks, should Conor McGregor have stayed at featherweight longer or just never moved up at all?
I don't think he could.
Yeah.
I think he was losing so much weight that in the end it was starting to really get to him. I think he had to make that move up. You know, he's not a small guy. You know, it's not like he's gigantic, but he's got a lot of muscle on him. He's got big, heavy thighs. He's very athletic in his build, but he's not a small frame guy that, you know, when you look at him against, you know, people sit there and say, oh, he can't be a 170er. Yeah. Now, he's not a huge frame 170er, but he carries it well. You know, and at 155 is the perfect weight for him, I think. And 145 was, take a look at, you know, some of the pictures in the weigh-ins and look at how just dehydrated, leaned out, nasty looking he looks at some of those weigh-ins, you can only do that for so long before it
Yeah.
really starts to have an impact on your health.
No, I agree. Yeah. I don't have anything to say. No, I don't think he should have stayed at featherweight. That's kind of the answer to the question.
No.
I don't think. I don't know if he probably could have, but I just don't think it would have been smart.
I don't think he could have. I think
The
it
other
was
thing
gonna,
as well,
it would affect
you just knocked out Jose Aldo. No one else could touch Jose until he went in there and did that. Like, just leave it alone. Like, just bounce, get out of there. That's he did. We're sitting here talking about should he have? Or you asked, the question was, should he have stayed at featherweight a little bit longer? No. Yeah, you just knocked out who people thought was the greatest fighter at the time, or was the GOAT at that.
The guy who's been the greatest featherweight there's been.
Yeah, absolutely. And he knocked him out in 13 seconds or something like that. Yep. So I think it was very well played by Conor. Bounce out of there when you can, make more money, do all the things. He did it. He was very fortunate to do everything the way that it needed to go for him to make a ton of money. Yep. What else?
Next question comes from Ocean Zero, who asks, for Josh, what was the hardest food to cut out when you were cutting weight?
It wasn't so much food, it was soda. I have one of those. I love soda, man.
I was Coke.
I do. I love cherry Coke. I'm a cherry Coke guy. I like Dr. Pepper as well. And I just started recently getting on this Fanta kick. The orange Fanta.
Orange Fanta?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I can't. I've stopped drinking soda since I got back since before the Bahamas. So when I went to the Bahamas, I didn't have any soda there. Yeah, I don't know. That was the hardest thing for me ever. I wouldn't stop drinking soda until about 4 weeks out. The month out, I wouldn't stop. And I'd only have one a day for the last, like the 2-3 weeks before. I'd only have one a day, and I'd have it at lunch right after training with my chicken teriyaki, with my chicken breast and my sushi. That's it. I would only, that was it.
Damn, that soda tasted good too.
It was so damn good. Right after training, I was like, fuck, this is amazing.
This is what I do it for. Right here.
Yeah. Fuck the title. This is what I want, the soda. So, and it's weird. After the fight, everyone's like, oh, but you went out and had hamburgers and this and that. I'm like, no, you know what I craved right after the fight every single time was just chicken strips and fries. I don't know. Every time I went, wherever we had my after party, I always had it at a restaurant. And we always had it at a restaurant with family and friends and everything like that. But I'd always order chicken strips and fries. That's it. I always had to make sure the place had chicken strips and fries. So, interesting.
And then anytime I was picking up the tab, Johnny, it was a sushi place that you pick out. So just so you know.
Always on someone else's time.
I don't think Dave's ever bought me anything. It's a pain in my ass.
Right. I've got a list of all these coffees. Get a tally, actually. I've got the score in the wall here.
Hey, one thing I will say, Josh knows where the good coffee is at.
Yep.
Definitely knows where the good coffee is
Dave
at.
knows. Phil's Coffee, baby,
Phil's
in San
Coffee.
Jose, downtown.
Yeah,
what else you got for us, Dave?
All right, next one's from Glass Fanatic, who asks, what's the closest thing to a double knockout you have seen? What are the chances we'll ever see one in MMA?
Already seen
them. I'd say the closest for me actually visualizing scene right there on the spot when it happened was Fedor and Matt Mitrione.
Yeah.
That's the one. I've seen him on videos where it's happened.
There's the famous, and I can't name the fighters. I can name the referee because it was Shoney Carter who was the fighter, who was the referee for the fight. But there's a famous one of two guys. They both swing and they both connect and they both whoomp. They go down and Shoney Carter comes in the middle and he's like, what do I do? You know, and it's like, that's called a technical draw. Both guys are out. You know, neither guy loses, but it's a technical draw.
Which means neither one of them gets their win bonus. Promotion just fucking
got happy.
Capitalize. Yeah. What else? How many more? Four more?
Three. AB asks, why is weighing in the longest and lankiest podcast out of them all?
I'll let Josh answer that one.
Well, because John and I are a little long-winded, a little long in the tooth, buddy. So we're older. We like to talk a lot. And like I said, I've told you guys this over and over and over again. John and I started this podcast because at the end of the night, after every one of our shows, we were the last two at the bar, fucking still nerding out on fights. That's what it was all about. So, I mean, I never thought I'd be clicking with an 80-year-old, and we just happen to click. And the fact that we can sit here and still keep doing it and we're having success, we fucking love it.
So longest and lankiest has nothing to do with the fact that John's like 7'9".
7'9". Well, no, everyone's 5'6". What you guys are talking about? Everyone's 5'6".
Everybody.
Come on, guys. Yeah, this is we do like to have a long show. We've had complaints sometimes, and we've also had a lot of people like, hey, keep the content coming. Look, I can do 2 shows, 3 shows a week if you guys want, just break them up, but it just doesn't make any sense. Just sit down in your car, whatever it is you're going to do, and listen to the damn show. Just shut your holes, okay? Just sit there and listen to the show.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We're out, right?
Yeah, I love you guys. I love our fans, man. They're pretty good. Listen, the comment sections, though. The comment section on YouTube is starting to get a little negative. Let's tidy that up. Come on, guys. Let's go.
Oh, that'll work.
Keep it clean. All right, let's go.
Next one from Aces Wild MMA. Big John, did you consider GSP downward kicks as stomps when you refereed his fight?
No, they're called axe kicks. And understand, okay, you are not allowed to stomp on any fighter in any position other than in the stand-up position. You can stomp on the top of his foot. That's basically it. Okay? If a fighter hits the ground, you can't even stomp on his foot. You can't stomp on his hand. You can't stomp on his leg. You can't stomp on his body. But, and this is the question a lot of people always said, well, if an axe kick, that could hit with the bottom of the foot. Understand the terminology. It's called what? An axe kick. So if I'm allowed to kick the body, which I'm allowed to kick the body of a grounded fighter, I can't kick them to the head, but I can kick their legs and I can kick their body. So if I use a legitimate technique called an axe kick, and my heel comes down and even the bottom of my foot comes down in that, and it's a legitimate use of that technique, we don't call it a stomp. It's a straight-legged axe kick, and it's legal.
This just goes to show that fighters, like, we don't know the fucking rules.
No.
You baffled me for a second.
Go
So
ahead.
if I take you down and you're on all fours,
Yeah.
and I have my hands locked around your waist, and you're on all fours against the fence, and I stand up, but I still have my hands locked, I can't stomp on your ankle or anything.
Nothing.
That's weird to me.
Yeah. See, people they don't know. You cannot.
Now, can I drop my shin on your leg?
Yes.
Got it.
You can kick me to the body, you can kick me to the legs, but you cannot stomp.
That's so
You can't
weird.
stomp any part. My hands on the ground. You can't stomp on my glove. Can't stomp.
Interesting. That's interesting to me.
So
I
there you go.
never knew that. I know it's hard to stomp from those positions. That's why fighters don't do it, really.
Yeah.
Because I know that they don't know that fucking rule. Because there's no way.
And the real question is a lot of fighters are like, so if, in the stand up, if he's standing up, why can't I stomp on something under his foot? I said, what are you going to stomp on? There's nothing there for you to stomp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You can't stomp his shoulder. It doesn't work for you. So really the only target you have is that foot, because the only time you can use a stomp is against a standing fighter.
Yeah. Interesting. I always wondered, though, because there was moments where, when someone puts their knee across your ankle and it turns your ankle out like a heel hook kind of position, and it hurts real bad.
Oh, yeah, it does.
So I always wondered if you still had your hands locked around the waist to hold the person in the position, kept your shoulder on them, could you still stomp the ankle to, kind of cause that little tweak in the knee real quick?
Nope.
Yeah.
If he's on the ground in any fashion that he's a grounded fighter, you cannot stomp on any part of it at that time.
Didn't
Stomps
know
are
that.
out.
I'm geeking out right now. Didn't know that. All right. What else?
The last one, again, sorry, it's for Big John as well. It comes from
it's
Forrest
right.
Schultz, who asks, Big John, was there ever a fight you didn't want to be reffing or didn't think it should be happening?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Absolutely.
Oh, let's go. Let's go, Big John.
How many?
Give me the one that was the most high profile.
Oh, well, the people are going to, oh my God. Listen, Kimbo Slice versus Dada 5000.
I was going to say.
I was like, I don't want to do that fight. Now, there's many fights that I've basically said I don't want to do it, and then I'm given that assignment, and I end up doing it because that's my job. But many times, and sometimes it's against it's the main event of a big show. BJ Penn's going to fight Yair Rodriguez. I didn't want to do that fight. I went in there and said, man, I don't want to do that fight. When Gina Carano was going to fight Chris Cyborg, I went in there going, I don't want to do that fight. And I was happy when when Josh Rosenthal got the assignment. I was like, yes. So absolutely, there's times you don't want to do fights, and it's based upon certain things, your personal feelings, or knowing someone at times, or thinking that's just not a fight that interests me.
Yeah.
You know, and at the time, the Dada and Kimbo fight didn't really interest me. I didn't think it was going to be a good fight. I didn't think it was a good representation of the sport, but it was what it was, and so I got assigned to it, and I did it to the best of my ability at the time, and I almost killed both of them.
Yeah.
So,
but
it's not good.
But still one of the most viewed Bellator fights in Bellator history.
Yeah, see, and that's where you look and you go, it's crazy. You know, it's crazy. Yeah. And Kimbo had that. It was all Kimbo, and Kimbo had that it factor. And
but Dada had a big following as well, and there was a lot of hype that came around the publicity that went back and forth on that.
Oh yeah.
What was his guy's name? Something Matty Ice.
Oh, Mikey.
The guy, Mikey
Icy Mike.
Icy Mike or whatever. They used to promote
that's Kimbo's guy.
Yeah. I mean, they had that Florida market just captured, and that's what they, was beautifully done in terms of how they marketed that fight. I mean, here, people want to go back and talk shit about that fight, but yet here we are, say 10 years removed, 8 years removed, something like that. Not even that. 6 years removed. And here we are fucking watching YouTube guys with 0 fights. It's and you guys are paying pay-per-view money for it.
Yep.
Insane. So anyways, I see a lot of what that fight got a lot of heat for. People are now tuning in, and now it's headlining all the MMA news and the boxing news and all the other shit. So it's we've gone full circle of, that's disgraceful to the sport, to, oh shit, let's pay $80 for that fight. Stupid.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right.
Let's be honest about this, because I'm saying that I want it to be known. I loved Kimbo Slice. He was a great guy. He was fun to be around. He was a gentleman. He had a great personality. And so it wasn't that I didn't like him as a person or anything like that. I just looked at the fight. It was the whole thing about, the battle of the backyard brawlers from the Miami area and stuff. And it was, Scott Coker was the one that put it together. He was brilliant in putting it together because people watched it. And really, when you're a promoter, what do you look? You're looking for eyeballs, and that's what he got. So it was, obviously, I was wrong and he was right.
Yep. I mean, no, he was good at what he did, man. They did a great job promoting that fight. Got a ton of 3.5 or 4 million views, I think is what it got, something like that. Great job in marketing the fight. It was a really weird fight. It was a really weird fight, but it was very entertaining. If you were in the arena, it was fucking crazy. The arena was going nuts. Yeah. It was nuts. All right, guys. Well, hey, that wraps up our show. Hope you guys enjoyed that fan Q&A. But first, click the link in the descriptions for the Clips channel and subs. Make sure you guys follow our shorts, our Wayne and Clips channel, and our shorts there. We've started a new channel, so hit that thumbs up there as well. Hit the subscribe button. Click the bell to stay notified on when we drop our new shows. The arrows are pointed down below. There's the bell. Hit the notifications. Boom. Also, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/WayneIn. Use the promo code ANDSTILL and pick up any of our shirts that we have up there listed. I have some artwork coming in for a new shirt. The guy's just finishing the artwork. He started 3 months ago. He's just starting to get it finished up. There's a lot of details into it and stuff, but this guy's an amazing artist. He does a lot of stuff for Marvel comic books, and so it has a little bit of a comic book kind of feel to it. So hopefully he gets that to me. Hopefully by the end of the week is what he's saying. He's trying to wrap it up by this weekend. So once I get that, I can get that scan, and maybe we can make a shirt out of it. So that would be a dope shirt to have. But I think that's pretty much about everything. What do you guys think?
I hope I don't have antenna on the shirt. Marvel comics.
But you know what? I saw the final, not the final. He's like, I got a lot of touching up to do. But I saw you are huge. I guess that's why we call you Big John. But in the video, like in the drawing, like you're huge. Like I put me next to you, and you're a lot bigger than you, which is in reality though too. But yeah, it's pretty. It's a pretty good design. I like it.
All right, Hulk-like. I like that.
Yes, yeah, you are Hulk-like. Yeah.
Ugly green.
What else we got? Nothing else? Podcast Dave, you got anything else for us?
Nope. Nothing else.
Nope. That's a good nope.
I know, it's going through my brain there.
Well, that must have been hard.
That didn't take long.
Well, to everybody out there, thank you for listening in. Watch the fights. We've got the UFC. We've got Bellator coming up Friday, the UFC on Saturday. Enjoy those fights, and we will see you.